Hi, my name is Sylvia Alonzis, Fire Chief for the Glendale Fire Department. I'm standing in front of 138 Carr Drive, a two-story, pre-33 center hallway apartment building where just a few weeks ago, a captain and a firefighter from our department fell into the basement during an active firefight. This resulted in a mayday and a successful deployment of RIC operations and a RIC team that was able to rescue our firefighters, and luckily, they both only sustained minor injuries. I'm glad to say they're both back to work. We share the lessons of this incident with everyone in hopes that you will learn from them and become better when faced with a similar situation. Thank you for watching.
On the first floor.
Crews raced inside and miraculously got the two firefighters out of the flame and smoke-filled building. They were not seriously hurt. There was also this harrowing scene, a woman passing a small child out of an upper-story balcony. A firefighter carried the toddler down the ladder as frightened witnesses looked on.
My name is Brian Garindo, fire captain, and I was assigned to Engine 23. We did some drill at the training center, and then we had an issue with our rigs, so we went to change over. After we got done changing over, we were heading back to district, and we were driving through 25s. One of my firefighters saw the smoke and pointed it out.
Fire department paramedics, what are you reporting?
Hey, did anyone report a fire? I can see it from the 2 freeway at a multi-unit building near Colorado and Verdugo.
Was it on the Glendale side or the LA City side?
My name is Lance Meunier. My position is engineer paramedic, and I was assigned to Engine 23. We were going in the direction of the smoke that could have been in LA City or Glendale.
Fire paramedics, what are you reporting?
Fire behind Chevron, Eagle Glendale borderline.
I see the smoke. It was kind of right on the border of LA City and 25s. Called it into Verdugo, told them, hey, we got smoke in the area. Are you getting reports of smoke? And they said, we're getting calls now. I said, copy that. Well, go ahead and put us on a smoke investigation for now. Just given the volume of smoke and that brown smoke, I had a pretty good feeling it was a structure.
Verdugo, Engine 23.
Engine 23, go.
Do you have reports of fire on the Glendale City border at the 2 and 134?
Engine 23, we are just getting something now. We're going to call LA City and find out.
You can put us on it. Just call it smoke in the area for now.
Fire and paramedics, what are you reporting?
Hi, there's a fire in front of my apartment. I'm actually at the back of the building because I was going to leave, but I
What's
see
the
there's
address?
a ton of smoke. 140 Carr Drive.
Can you tell what is on fire?
I can't tell. I would have to go to the front of the building, but I'm looking at it from the back.
All right, I put it in as unknown. All right, so we're on our way. Go ahead and if you can, evacuate. We're getting multiple calls, so we've got firefighters on their way, all right?
I told my 2 firefighters to go ahead and get suited up because we were right down the street. We were on Broadway, and we got to Carr, and then we saw that that's where it was. So right as we were turning down Carr is when I heard the dispatch go out.
Engine 25, Engine 22, Engine 27, Truck 26, Truck 29, BLS 25, Battalion 2, unknown type fire, 140 Carr Drive, Broadway, Harvard Street, Red 2.
Verdugo, Engine 23, we're almost on scene. Can you send it to our MCT, please?
23.
I think I had to add myself because I don't think they put us on the initial assignment. I think I had to tell them.
Because of the trees, we didn't see any of the structure or what was going on, just the smoke.
We pulled up on scene. I had to wait to size it up because nobody was on tack. So I had a 2-story center hall. I had heavy smoke showing from the Alpha Delta corner. I had multiple victims hanging out of the windows on the 2nd floor on the Alpha Delta side. We had heavy smoke coming out of the windows on the 2nd floor. My engineer and I weren't even suited up. My firefighters were. They got off. We were behind from the moment we set the maxis.
Engine 23 is on scene of a 2-story pre-33 center hall apartments. We got heavy smoke showing from the 1st floor, Delta side, Alpha Delta corner. Engine 23 will be fire attack primary search. We're going to need a water supply.
My name is firefighter paramedic R. Zakarian, and I was assigned to Engine 23. I saw a lot of heavy turbulent black smoke as I stepped off the rig,
We had a lot of people outside. There was heavy smoke showing on the Delta side, and people yelling that there was a rescue problem on the second floor.
As I got off the rig and started putting on SCBA, I tried to look for somebody to give me information, and an adult female approached me. I asked her what's going on, and she said there are people trapped inside. I remember grabbing her and asking her to show me where, and she pointed up at the balcony on the Alpha Delta corner on the second floor. So I immediately went over to the offside and told the captain that we have a rescue issue.
I hop off the rig to go get myself dressed, and one of my firefighters comes running around, and he said, "Hey, we got a lot of victims on the second floor. We're going to go in." I said, "Negative, throw a ladder to the second window and tell them to close the door."
All units within 23 got confirmed victims trapped on the second floor. Particular at 33, started second alarm stage on Carr and Broadway.
Engine 23 is calling for a second alarm, filling out second alarm.
Myself and the other firefighter got the 24 out, put up the ladder. I decided to go up, and there were 4 people at the window, a toddler, 2 adult females, and an adult male. When I went up there, I saw that there were smoke conditions in the actual bedroom of that unit. I directed that adult male to go close the door. First thing I thought is I got to limit the amount of smoke or fire going into that unit and into that bedroom specifically, right? So closing that door was going to buy me some time.
My 2 firefighters threw the ladder to the second floor window. They started pulling people out. There was civilians footing the ladder for the guys going up. And then I remember telling my engineer, get a line to that fire and start getting water on this thing.
I flowed the line until which I thought was I was getting close to being out of water, and still leave me enough time to establish a supply.
I didn't have the opportunity to do like a legit 360, right? I had these victims, I'm trying to get my stuff on, I'm trying to direct companies in, I'm trying to do all these things, and I just didn't have the opportunity to really get a good look at 3 sides at least, like I normally would.
My name is Gil Pedroza, fire captain of Engine 25. We were second due.
Engine 25, we're on scene. Engine 25, moving to the scene. Take over fire attack. We're pulling the victims out of the second floor window right now.
Engine 25 showed up about the time that we were kind of getting the victims out. I mean, we were there a while by ourselves. I told them, hey, I'm giving you fire attack primary search on the first floor. You're going to be Division 1.
We pulled up right behind Engine 23, and I kind of did a face-to-face with Brian. At that exact moment, they were pulling people out of the window. He indicated that we're going to take fire attack. I directed my firefighter to stretch a hose line to the front door. While he was setting up the hose line, I took over the transitional line on that Delta side. So I was putting water through that door area.
And then my second in engine, I believe, was 22s. I made them Division 2 fire attack primary search on the second floor.
My name is Captain Gabe Vaca. I was assigned to Engine 22 A shift that day. I was given second floor fire attack search.
Engine 22 is on scene. 22 moving to the scene. I'm going to make you Division 2. Go to the second floor. You'll be fire attack primary search on the second floor.
22 copy, second floor, Division 2, fire attack primary search.
We knew that all of the victims were being pulled from the second floor. So I told my guys, hey, we have second floor. Be well aware all victims are coming from the second floor. We have to give it a good search, a good thorough search.
I asked some of the victims if there was anybody else on the second floor. They said they didn't think so. They think that everybody had made their way down to their hallway. They were all trying to escape the building, but there was so much heat coming up the stairwells that they all kind of funneled into that front unit. All those victims were from different units on that second floor, but they all kind of made their way into that unit. And then my third in engine was Engine 27, and at this point I had all these victims, so I made them medical.
Engine 23, Engine 27 is on scene. What do you need? We pulled 3 victims from the second floor. We're going to make you medical. We need you to check out the victim.
After I made that Engine 27 assignment, I think Battalion 2 showed up and took over.
My name is Chris Stavros. I'm Operations Battalion Chief on A Platoon, and I was Incident Commander on the Carr Incident. So I ended up setting up our ICP probably about 35 or 40 yards from the incident. There was a lot of trees blocking the incident, and so I didn't have a good visual.
Verdugo, Battalion 2 is on scene as Pursuing Command. I'll be Carr IC, command post location on Carr, south of the incident.
Fortunately, we have a staff captain in Glendale who's driving me, so I had all the assignments. I was just not completely sure where Engine 23 had assigned Engine 25.
Engine 23, Carr IC. I copied all your assignments. Where do you have Engine 25? I got 25 at Division 1. They got a transitional line. They just made entry. They're going in the front door to be fire attack on the first floor.
At that point, the smoke conditions was a lot of lazy smoke in the area, nothing like super aggressive. The only significant smoke was coming out of that man door leading into the basement. Still at that point, I hadn't made all the connections of like where exactly the fire was.
Engine 23, Carr IC. What floor is the fire on? The fire's on the first floor in the unit in the Alpha Delta corner. First floor, Alpha Delta corner.
Pre-33 Center Hall is pretty much a textbook in some of the older communities in Southern California, so we have our base operation. Get a line on it, back it up, get above it, and ventilate. And those 4 things actually were done right off the bat. My initial assignment after taking command was ventilation.
David On, fire captain. I was assigned to truck 26. We were given a ventilation.
Truck 26 on scene. Truck 26, Carr IC, your assignment is ventilation. Copy, ventilation.
After the ladder was thrown, and the only spot to throw that ladder was the Alpha side, I remember going up to each crew member and saying, we're going to strip the hall. So prior to even going up, we had a plan, because I knew it wasn't a top floor fire. We got up to the roof, we cut our first hole, punched it, just trying to make sure to see where our landmarks were. During that process, firefighter Baker and I sounded to the Charlie side. The penthouse door was located on the Charlie side, and so we forced that open. I walked down to the second floor. There was very, very light smoke on the second floor.
Engine 27, Carr IC, your assignment is medical group. You've got yourself and BLS 25. I have 2 more BLS en route. Let me know if we need more.
And then I assigned Engine 23 to Division 1 because I was having problems contacting Engine 25, who was assigned on the first floor.
Engine 23, Carr IC. Are you available for an assignment? That's affirmative. Take over Division 1, do a face-to-face with Engine 25, make sure they're par. He's not answering me. IC, 23 copy, taking over Division 1, face-to-face.
So I told my crew, I go, hey, grab a line, we're gonna go tie him with 25s. Meet me at the front door. Right when we got to the front door, I saw 25s. I face-to-face with them, I said, hey, it's just us. I go, you take the right side of the hallway, we'll take the left, and we'll start working our way down. He said, okay, got it. And so we masked up and went in.
Truck 21's on scene. Truck 21, your assignment is rapid intervention. Division 1 from Carr IC, what other resources do you need? Primary objective is fire attack and primary search on the first floor. We need additional resources to help search the first floor. IC copy, break. Engine 21, your assignment is to Division 1. That's Engine 23. Engine 21, report to Engine 23 on the first floor.
When we made entry, you know, it was super, super heavy charged smoke. Couldn't see, you know, your hand in front of your face.
Medical from Carr IC, what resources do you need? If we can get one more engine company or at least another RA. IC copy. So I've got 3 BLS, 2 RAs en route. I'm going to give you Engine 24. Engine 22, Division 2 from Carr IC. What have you got on the second floor? What resources do you need up there?
The initial search of the initial unit was dark heavy. It took us a while to search that initial unit. And if there were 6, 8 units on that floor, it's going to take a long time.
I'm going to use 2 engines to complete the fire search.
I'm thinking if I could split this into thirds, we would be okay.
Well, I made a few reassignments during the course of the incident. That was incident driven.
Division 2 from Carr IC, I'm going to give you Truck 21. I'm reassigning them from Rick to you. Truck 21's coming to your location. Verdugo, Battalion 2, can I have a third alarm, please? Battalion 3 from Carr IC. Your staging manager, I have a third alarm coming, plus 3 BLS and 2 RA. Staging is at Broadway and Carr.
Copy that. Staging manager, Broadway and Carr.
Verdugo, Carr IC, can I have a second tack?
Affirmative, Red 3.
Carr IC, truck 29 is on scene.
Truck 29, your assignment is to Division 2. That's Engine 22. Primary search on the second floor.
IC gave me truck 29 as my second apparatus, so now I had truck 21 as truck 29 assigned to me as Division 2. We moved to the Charlie side, to the complete rear. We found that there were only 4 units there. So we cleared the floor. I let the IC know, hey, Division 2 IC, that we were clear, gave a good primary and secondary to the second floor, and we were ready for reassignment.
IC Division 2. Second floor is searched and cleared. Truck 21, Truck 29, and Engine 22 are ready for reassignment. Division 2 IC, just confirming no other needs on the second floor? No fire, all victims, all people are out. IC, copy that.
I started having a lot of people show up at the command post, battalion chiefs, administrative captains.
Verdugo show EMS 2 on scene.
Carr IC training 2 on scene.
And I was able to plug them in to various incidents, safety officer, division supervisor positions, and I was getting a lot of face-to-face intelligence that was very helpful.
We made entry onto the first unit on the Bravo side, Bravo corner. At that point, there was quite a bit more smoke, a little bit more heat. We're looking for the fire with the thermal imager.
And we had about maybe 12 inches of visibility after we were down on our knees. And
the spidey senses started going off. Why isn't it hot? Man, there's a lot of charged smoke in here, and for there to be no heat. And then I look back, and at the entrance, I can see the light in the doorway, and I see wisps of smoke rising up from the floor. And then that's when the light bulb went off. It was like, oh, this is a basement fire. That's what we got going on here. Okay. I radioed IC, hey, I'm pulling everybody out of the first floor. We got fire below us. This is a basement fire.
I see. We're passing out of the first floor and fire below us in the basement. Division 1 from Carr IC. Confirming there's a basement and fires below you. I'm confirming that. We're searching the first floor. We have fire below us. We're backing out to get knocked out of the fire in the basement. I see, copy that.
So then we exited the structure, went over to the Alpha Delta side, and I tied in with Division Sub 1 at Chief Julian. He said, hey, let's just start hitting this basement.
Division 1 from IC, copy that. You're going to take that hand line from the Delta side? Copy that. I'm going to make EMS 2 Chief Julian. He's going to be Division Sub Level 1.
So copy that. And so I did a walk down Delta side to the Charlie side, gave a quick look, and those old cellar windows were boarded up, and they were puffing. We got a well-established lot of heat down there. So we get over to where the cellar door is in the Alpha Delta corner, and I told my firefighters to just start hitting it from there. So I took a peek in, and I saw it was just a maze in there, and there was tons of storage in there and a lot of heat. Nobody's going in there. We're just going to hit it hard from outside. We can open these windows up and just hit it from outside. So I told Sub 1, I said, hey, nobody goes in there. We're going to get somebody killed. He goes, I agree. We're not going to send anybody in there. We fought the fire there for a while, and then our bottles ran out. We went to go change out bottles. They replaced us with another crew.
Engine 22 and Truck 21, you're reassigned to EMS 2. He's Division Sub 1. Division Sub 1. Division Sub 1. Chief Julian, I'm giving you Engine 22 and Truck 21.
Copy that. I have Engine 23, Engine 22, Truck 21.
Division Sub 1, you're going to have Engine 22 and Truck 21.
Copy that. Be advised, I have Engine 23. They are on the outside, transitional back to the basement now. That's on the Delta side of the structure.
Truck 29 from Carr IC, are you available?
Carr IC from Truck 29, that's affirmative.
My name's Chris Jernigan, fire captain, Truck 29 A shift.
Truck 29, your assignment is rapid intervention.
Truck 29 copies, Rick.
Well, we got dispatched well after the incident was already unfolding. So on our way down, we were starting to listen to some of the radio traffic. So we were starting to kind of paint a picture in our head as far as what type of scale and scope this incident was. Truck 21 was initially assigned Rick, and then he switched us and gave Truck 29 Rick. So we didn't get to the scene yet. We were walking up and had just about turned the corner, and then we realized, okay, now we're Rick. So then we had to kind of gather up and then have our little our little briefing about what we were going to bring and what I expected out of everybody to do. We get up to the scene, and we had walked up together to the Alpha Delta corner there. I asked my engineer to go ahead and start doing his 360 to start to canvass the structure. I asked him, I wanted to know who the players were, where they were operating, whose hose lines belonged to whose. and we wanted to start to draw this out. And I kind of pointed to that adjacent apartment building. I go, let's get a crayon, a marker, let's start using this right here, and let's march out, who's doing what.
Andrew Jimenez, truck 29A. I was a firefighter on the truck that day. We had myself, the captain, and the other firefighter. We were all masked up, ready to go in case anything went down. All we had to do was just clip in and then go to work.
I see from Division Sub 1.
I see.
Just be advised the heaviest fire activity appears to be on the Alpha side in Sub 1 and Level 1.
I had a third alarm coming. I want them to hear what we have, because if they weren't listening, they're not going to know, right? So I gave them an updated report on conditions, and I pretty much said everything I wanted to say on that update.
All units on the Carr Incident from Carr IC. We have a two-story pre-33 center hall apartment. We have fire in the basement and on the first floor. We've extracted 5 victims from the property. They're being treated. All units responding to the incident, check in with staging manager. That's Battalion 3. Do not check in on the radio.
Jeff Ragusa, Battalion Chief, Fire Marshal for the Fire Prevention Division. I was assigned to Division 1.
Carr IC from Division 1. They're going to need an additional company over here, 23 to take to the bottle.
IC from staging, send engine 39 to Division Sub 1. That's Battalion Chief Julian. He's EMS 21.
IC training 21.
IC.
Okay, just an update on the Bravo side. You do have fire all the way down to the middle of the structure on Sub 1, and heavy activity is the Alpha Bravo corner, first floor.
Training 2, Chief Foster from IC.
Safety.
Safety, I'm going to reassign you. I'm going to make you Division 2. Right now you have no companies, but I'll get you some.
IC from staging, you have truck 32, engine 29, engine 11, and the air utility.
Captain Richard Bush. I was assigned to engine 29 Alpha on the day of the Carr incident. We were assigned to Division 2 with Chief Foster.
Send truck 32 and engine 29 to Division 2. They're going to report to Battalion Chief Foster. He is training 2.
Engine 25 and engine 21, I both face-to-face with. I gave both captains instructions. Don't go inside. Let's concentrate on the Alpha Bravo corner. Let's try to hit it from the outside. We believed at that point that fire was mostly in that unit, in that first floor unit. So the idea was to try to put water on the Alpha Bravo corner from the exterior.
Hi, Chief, from Division 1. I'm with engine 25 and engine 21, fighting the fire from the exterior on the Alpha Bravo corner. No personnel are inside.
IC, copy that. Ventilation from IC. What have you got up there? What do you need?
IC for ventilation. We cut a strip down the center hole. We've still got some depressurized smoke. We're going to finish our strip towards the Charlie Center.
Do you need any other companies?
That's negative.
The goal was to open up that stairwell, because two-story building, not a rated stairwell. You don't have pone doors, so we wanted to find that stairwell to open it up to try to evacuate as much smoke as possible.
Division Sub 1 from IC. You need any other resources?
That's negative. We cannot commit going interior. We are still operating exterior.
At some point there, I started to look around and just try to step back a little bit. That's when I asked IC for additional resources. He gave me engine 11. And at that point, though, I was listening to radio traffic, and I also started to think, I don't know how we're going to get control of all these companies and divisions and who's doing what. So at that point, I told my guys, I'm going to be right back. Sure, I went back to the back of IC, met with Captain Gano, and he scribed out for me who was assigned who and where they were at. I walked that back over to my guys, and then we had at least kind of an updated system status of who was doing what where.
Staging IC, send engine 11 to truck 29. They're going to be part of the RIC group.
My name's Andrew Chest, Burbank Fire Captain on engine 11. We were assigned to Rick, who was truck 29. He was masked up, his whole crew was masked up, and they had a good accountability chart on the building next door, which gave us a good idea of where all the resources were assigned to. We told them that we'll back them up, do what we can, get a 360 and get some intel and some situational awareness. As we did that 360, you could see that there was a really good working fire in that raised foundation area.
Engine 11 captain arrives on scene. I do a quick face-to-face with him. We do a quick comms check, make sure we're both on red 9. We do a briefing about how we want to go ahead and post each other up. So I'd asked him if you could come over to Charlie Delta. We had companies up on the roof, and there was a 35 already positioned back there. So I said, let's have you go here. At least we'll have that kind of quartered off there, and we can also be line of sight. And so we had each other tied in. So in case there was an event, either I was over here and he was on that side, and we could either support them or they could come over and support our position. I had already kind of talked with my guys and said, hey, looks like everything is going on through this Alpha front door, first floor entrance, right? And we had already kind of spied what had been going on that Delta side man door. So we had already kind of pre-planned that said, hey, look, if something goes down, if one of our guys goes through, we should be in a good spot to make entry right here.
We're putting a plan together to go back in. We weren't able to stop the fire from the exterior, at least it didn't appear to at that point. A reasonable attempt of safely trying to go in interior and hitting through that doorway right there, which was really, an 8-foot shot, might help put that fire out and would allow us to continue with our primary on the first floor and the second floor, or secondary on the second floor at that point.
Carr Incident, Division 1.
I see.
I think I got 21 and 25 with me. When they go interior, they will. I will need at least one more company to replace 21 within the next 5-10 minutes.
So I'd asked for an additional company so that we could go advance and go back and try to put out the fire. 23 was assigned to me.
At that point, the IC comes on the radio and says, Engine 23, confirming you're ready for reassignment. I said, that's affirmative. He says, okay, I'm going to assign you to Division 1. I need you to conduct fire attack primary on the first floor.
Engine 23, Carr IC. Are you changed out and ready to go?
Affirmative.
And I'm going to reassign you to Division 1, that's with Prevention 2, Chief Ragusa.
23 copy, Division 1, Chief Ragusa.
Division 1, you're going to get Engine 23.
So I met with 23s in front of the foyer. We talked about the operation. He went back, got his crew. They came back, full PPEs with SCBA on, talked again briefly, and then they began the operation.
Are tied in with Division 1, and I remember face-to-facing with them. It was like, hey, we'll do the same thing we did last time. We'll go in, we'll take the left, and we'll just start leapfrogging each other down the hallway.
Brutal, Carr IC. Give me 2 additional engine companies.
Carr IC.
After I masked up, I walked up to the doorway, stuck my head in, saw a door open about 7 foot in. The hallway was relatively clear. I didn't take a step into the hallway at all, but from that foyer, I was able to ascertain that the fire was in the Alpha Bravo corner over there, mostly in that unit.
I was operating under the assumption that we had kind of gotten a handle on the basement fire, so now it's time to go in and conduct primary on the first floor. I felt comfortable with going in to do a primary on the first floor. The hallway was fairly clear. I mean, the smoke was just down to the threshold top of the door, and so I mean, you could see pretty well in the hallway.
Carr IC on Division 1, 23 is at the doorway. Outway interior, trying to make an interior attack. I'm with them.
I see, copy that. Feeler, you still got a decent amount of smoke production from out here.
Engine 23, we're ready for order.
My name is Patrick Hemmons. I'm a firefighter paramedic on Engine 23A. Captain Garindo asked me to bring a nozzle up. So I grabbed the nozzle and I handed it forward to Ara.
We met up at the front of the building, pick up one of those lines, let's check it, run it for 10 seconds, check the pattern, go to straight stream on the nozzle. And at that point, my captain walked up and said, hey, we got assigned Division 1 and we got to go in for a primary search on the first floor.
Division 2, go ahead.
What have you got now on the second floor, and what do you need? You should have truck 32 and engine 29 with you.
That's affirmative. I have both companies. We're staged with the door. We're right behind engine 23. We're a little bottleneck to head up there.
And now this is about the time when the Mayday comes through.
I think I turned around to probably pull a hose up. When I looked back in, I saw.
And from my peripheral vision, I see something going on, and I make a complete turn, and I see Captain Garindo.
As soon as I heard the commotion, it was 2 seconds later that I was up there, and I saw Engine 23 captain.
Took about 3-4 steps in and fell through.
Mayday. Firefighter to the floor, on the first floor. Rick, to the first floor.
The first thing I did was call a Mayday.
All units on the Carr incident, hold all traffic, emergency traffic, emergency traffic. Company for the emergency traffic, go ahead with your emergency.
We have Captain Grindle through the floor, on the first floor. We need Rick and medical to the front door.
I saw that the captain had fallen through the floor, and Ara was lunging forward to try and grab him.
Captain Grindo had gone through the floor of the first floor. At that split second, it was my decision to try to initiate a rescue. I remember dropping the nozzle, kind of throwing it back. I remember calling out, Cap's through the floor, took 2 steps in and dove in for him. The floor below me collapsed, so I actually never really even got a hand on the captain.
And as he did that, Ara, he went through the floor. I could hear screams and shouts from below, and in my mind, they were burning.
Within fractions of a second was when Engine 23 firefighter adjusted the nozzle and directed the hose stream to that fire.
And the screams, I can recall them pretty vividly. That's when I got the water on them. And then the screams stopped. And I remember thinking, the screams have stopped because they did. That's what I had thought. I knew I couldn't go any further in, because if I had gone further in, I would have been through the floor.
I remember falling in, I landed on my head. As I came to, I don't know if I passed out because of the fall, but I remember kind of opening my eyes and coming to, and as I landed on my head, I rolled over, looking up, I saw heavy black turbulent smoke, and I saw brown, and then I saw flames. Seconds later, I felt some water.
I'm standing on the grass at the corner of the apartment building where we put our system board up. And I hear Chief Ragusa yelling the mayday over the radio, and at the very moment that transmission is heard over the radio, everybody that was within eyesight started to float towards that building in the Alpha side.
We found out that the guys fell through the first floor and they're in the basement. We made our way to the basement door.
Listening to the fact we have guys down through the floor Alpha side, and now you're starting to have everybody give you input. Everyone's yelling at you because they kind of know that we're Rick.
Felt myself panicking just for about a split second, and I calmed myself down and decided to kind of check myself out. What's wrong with me? I realized that my seal had broken off my mask, whether that shifted or not, but I had air going. I took my hand and put it over my mask and kind of felt down, and I felt my regulator was still on. I realized that I knew if I got to a wall that I'd be able to figure more things out.
They were making entry through the Alpha side. We knew we were coming in through the Delta side. So we knew that if we just went this way, they'd have an intersection at some point. Not to say that we knew where they were once they got inside, but that's how we knew that we were going to begin our search. We get lined up at the door, and at about the time we start to push in on our hands and knees,
you can see a firefighter crawling his way towards us a few feet in. So that's when we went inside, and with the assistance of Truck 21, we grabbed that firefighter, pulled him out towards that door.
And I felt a hand trying to grab me, pulling me out as I'm trying to crawl out too.
So we all just got a hand on him, pulled him out of the door.
IC Division Sub 1, primary traffic.
Sub 1, go ahead with your traffic.
We have a firefighter out. He is at the Alpha Delta corner. I need a POS unit and medical.
IC, copy that. Break, medical from IC. Can you handle the medical incident with the firefighter down?
I recall crawling out of the building, and then I recall almost like a syncopal episode and coming to again, and now I'm getting dragged out, and I remember them stripping off all my gear.
He was wrapped up in a bunch of wires and stuff like that, all hooked up on his helmet and on his BA. We grabbed him, pulled him out to the grass, started derobing him, and at that time RA11 and some other Glendale resources came up to assist.
At this point, we thought there was only one member that had fallen through the floor, but then we realized there was somebody else. So I guess the confusion was they thought that I was that second member coming out because I was the last one from out of the basement.
I remember talking to one of the firefighters, and I'm communicating that Captain Garrido is still in the building.
I couldn't hear any more screams or shots. I ran down the stairs towards the Delta side where the rapid intervention team was. My goal was to tell them exactly, give them a position where they had fallen through the floor. By the time I got there, they'd already pulled Ara out, so he was only in there a matter of seconds. And then I remember shouting, hey, there's a second guy in there.
And then all of a sudden somebody else emerged and said, no, they're still in there. So at that point, then we turned back around and I grabbed firefighter Berger and said, okay, let's go. We're going in.
The communication was that there was a member out. My secondary communication was to reinforce that we still had a trapped firefighter, Engine 23 captain, that we were in contact with trying to pull out of the Alpha side.
However, Division 1, we still have Captain Gorindo rolling through the floor. We're invisible on the first floor. We have one firefighter out. We still have Captain Gorindo.
Rick, Carr, I see. You've deployed, right? You got another firefighter through the floor, sub-level 1, Alpha Delta corner.
Okay, all right. We are deployed at sub-level 1.
Took like 4 steps in, and it was like all of a sudden I stepped on a piece of cardboard, and it just gave way underneath me, and I fell through. And then when I fell through, basically it was like opening the damper on a stove, you know, it just lit off, and I was surrounded by fire.
When Engine 23 captain went through, there was significant fire that came up with the introduction of oxygen in the hole that was created. When
the floor came through, all I saw was fire, and it was orange and black, and I couldn't see really anything. And I started scrambling to grab the floor like I was going to be able to pull myself out. Every time I grabbed the floor, it was just collapsing more. All of a sudden, I just feel the hose line open up on me. That's what saved me, because I was roasting before that. Once the water started hitting me, and it was like, all right, well, things are getting better. And once I was able to slow my breathing down, I was able to think a lot more clearly. And then I started thinking, okay, well, I was trying to look through the basement because I knew that there was an exit because we were fighting the fire, but I couldn't see anything in there. And I knew how bad the conditions were in there from when I was over there. I was like, all right, don't go in there, stay here. I know that they can see me, and obviously I heard the Mayday go out. So I knew that they were doing everything they could to get me out, and they were in visual with me because he was spraying me with water. So I was like, I'm going to just stay here and they're going to figure it out.
There was a company that was actually assigned to another division that was there within seconds. It was Engine 29.
The Mayday went out, I heard where it was, and we were right there already masked up, so I headed right there and my crew was right behind me. So I just went right up to the steps, to the door, and saw the hole in the floor. I hit the floor on my belly to see if I could reach out to see or to grab somebody. When I was laying on my belly looking in, I did see a captain's helmet. I didn't know who was in there yet, but I saw his helmet. He was on the far side of the hole from me, so I wasn't able to reach him with my hand or with the Halligan tool. Somebody tapped me on the back and said, hey, they got him out. And I remember looking back and saying, no, they didn't, because I'm still looking at a helmet. Captain from Truck 32 came to the doorway next to me, and he both brought a light, and he wound up with a hose, and he was spraying down into the hole.
I saw captain off Engine 29 and a Pasadena captain as well. Both tried to make it tenable for Engine 23 captain. We realized we couldn't pull Gorindo up.
Audience from the Carr Incident. We still have one firefighter trapped in sub-level 1. Rescue is in process.
Truck 29 deployed Rick. We went ahead and tied off our rope bag. So the order we went in was the captain, because he had his thermal imager. We had firefighter Berger with the Rick bag, and then I followed him with the hose line.
As soon as I got in maybe like 3 or 4 feet inside the man door, I can't see anything. Flipped up the thermal imager and I could see pretty clearly the basement and as far as where I was going to go. So we just went straight in. I think afterwards looking at it, it was probably about a 20 to 25 foot crawl. And I'm using the thermal imager leading, and my guys are behind me. And so we're crawling in. I can see the outline of a firefighter standing. So I keep going about another couple feet, and then this next time when I pull the thermal imager camera down, I can find Captain Gorindo's arm. I can't believe that I see this arm sitting there. I'm right on him at this point. I couldn't see him without the thermal imager until then. He was sort of standing there, and he wasn't moving. It seemed like he was being very still.
And then I saw the flashlights of Truck 29, the Rick crew. And
when I made contact with his arm is when he shouted to us, "Get me out of here, get me out of here." So then I locked onto his arm and I yelled at him, this way, and pulled him towards me a little bit. And I turned back to my crew and I said, reverse out, With that point, he was still able to walk, and so we just turned around and then just kind of led him right back out where we came from. And then once we got close to the man door, there was, I don't know, no less than 6 or 8 people grabbed him and ushered him out onto that grass area, and then began taking his stuff off and checking for his status. I didn't really see him after that. After that point, he was taken and rushed off, and I think I turned around, and a couple seconds later he was gone, and that was the end of that event.
IC Division Sub 1, we have the second firefighter.
Do we have anybody else in the building? And once I got an answer, no, we were clear.
Division 1, Carr IC, can you repeat, do we have anybody trapped in the building right now?
I see both reported victims that were swamped are out. They're on the yard, they're being treated.
IC, copy that. Break. We'll give you a warble tone. We're going to conduct a par.
I have a mnemonic that I use, which is Edward D on a Mayday incident, and I just went right down the mnemonic. Emergency traffic, clear all traffic, get everybody off the radio, deploy Rick, do a warble tone, let everybody know that we have an incident within an incident, add an alarm. My staff captain added a 4th alarm, roll a par, double Rick, and deal with the incident. So I pretty much went down that.
All units on the Carr incident, we're going to conduct a par. We have 2 firefighters extracted from the building.
IC, non-active, pass. Carr IC from Division 2, Carr. Carr from Division 1, we are Carr. Truck 29 is Carr.
Division Sub 1 from Carr IC, are you Carr?
Carr with Truck 21, Engine 22, and Engine 39.
IC, copy. All units I have Carr on the Carr incident.
Getting the bigger picture without getting tunneled in is the #1 thing that I've taken away from this. Recognizing where that fire was. I should have been able to read that smoke that was coming out of that door and been like, hey, the fire is in here. This should be an easy push. If we were to have that same incident right now, I think I would have directed my crew and had a more aggressive fire attack into that basement area. I think we would have been a lot more effective doing it that way.
I asked for additional TAC, and I regret not implementing that command frequency, but it didn't seem like there was ever an ideal time to do it. At a minimum, I should have got medical and staging on that TAC. That would have been helpful. One of the things I struggled with is people saying too much. When there's a long transmission and you got the PD in one ear and a news helicopter over your head and a lot of people gathering around, it's really difficult to get what you need on those long transmissions. So I guess the lesson learned for the people that are division soups would be keep it to as few words as possible, because I'm not going to get it all. The truck company did a lot of work on the roof, and even though I asked them multiple times if they needed additional help, they declined. Probably should have sent another truck company up there because they did a lot of cutting up there. I probably would not have reassigned rapid intervention. One of the reasons I did that is because right when I had assigned rapid intervention and that captain came to me face to face, Division 2 requested 2 engine companies on the 2nd floor. And even though we had made rescues from that floor and we had somebody saying everybody was out, I still wasn't comfortable with that. When he said they were getting ready to make entry back on Division 1, I said, hey, just be aware you have a large amount of smoke production out here. And he says, yeah, I think that's coming from the Alpha Bravo corner. We're going to hit that right now. I just wish I would have said, hey, and the fire's been burning for 30 minutes.
What I think would have been really good was to be a little bit more aggressive in my position. And when I got assigned to Truck 29, knowing that he was masked up and ready to deploy, to take that group position from him, or at least consider bringing it up to his attention. Say, hey, why don't I take the group from you so you can watch over your guys in case you guys get deployed. I can stand back and run Rick from outside. That would have been a pretty heads-up move. It did cross my mind that I probably should have been the group supervisor in that situation.
For me, I've been on 24 years now, and we do all these search drills and these RIC drills, and you go through academies and you talk about we're going in to do a search, we're going to do a left-hand search, right-hand search. That thermal imager was so key, in making sure that my company could go directly where they needed to, and I could lead them and not waste any time feeling around, possibly getting stuck somewhere else. So I had already had an appreciation for that piece of equipment, but this call absolutely grounded that idea and how important that piece of equipment is.
I was kicking myself from the second that floor gave through. I was kicking myself for not sounding the floor, right? I had a basement fire, and why I didn't sound the floor, I can't begin to tell you. You know, I know better, but I didn't. It was a lot easier for me not having to call the Mayday when I heard them, because I was about to call it when I heard it, and it took that off my plate. I didn't have to worry about doing that. There was never an intention to ever hit my E-trigger. I didn't want to hit the E-trigger. I wanted to stay on tack, you know. I wanted to hear the communication that was going on. You know, I got to the hospital and Firefighter Keys was there because he was in town off duty for something. He saw the pulse point, he saw it go out. And, you know, he's our union president. He met me as the doors opened when they were wheeling me in the yard. There was Steve. And then they wheeled me back and they put me in a bed right next to Zakarian. And everybody kept assuring me that he was fine, but it was nice to get right next to him and see it for myself, you know. Everybody that was involved in the rescue of the two firefighters, myself and Zakarian, knocked it out of the park. Had I not put my mask on before I stepped foot into that structure, I'd be dead, 100%. If I didn't have everything on, I'd be dead. So I think that's my biggest takeaway, is anytime you're entering the IDLH, have your stuff on, because you never know.
Yeah, this afternoon at 2:50 p.m., Glendale firefighters responded to an apartment fire. It was an 8-unit, 2-story, center hallway pre-33 apartment. During that firefight, they fell when the floor collapsed into the basement and became trapped with fire all around them. Luckily, we had firefighters that were in a rescue position that were able to quickly extricate them from the structure, which proved to be successful as they only had minor injuries. Firefighters did an outstanding job today. They really were heroes. They showed up ready. They showed up prepared. We trained for these buildings. We know where every pre-33 building is in our city. It was identified early from the first in captain, and I couldn't be more proud of our firefighters today.